From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Brazil is seeking to reduce a budget deficit that led to a drop in the country's credit rating. The government announced spending cuts and tax increases totaling almost $17 billion in September. Officials say they plan to bring back the CPMF, a tax on financial transactions. The government hopes to raise more than $8 billion next year if Congress accepts the tax. However, many lawmakers oppose the measure. Other proposed cuts would reduce government aid for farmers, infrastructure improvements, and pay for government employees. Public health and low-cost housing programs could also face cuts. The government reduced tax subsidies for the chemical industry. It also reduced aid for exporters of manufactured goods and raised taxes on capital gains, profits from sales of investments. Some are calling for the president to resign. Economists have said the expected savings look promising. However, the Speaker of Brazil's lower house of Congress said there is not enough support to approve the CPMF tax. The head of Brazil's Senate said deeper cuts are needed before Congress will agree to more taxes. The government is closing 10 ministries to save money. Also, the proposed reduction in public health and housing spending will be difficult for supporters of President Rousseff. Brazil recently lost its high credit rating. Standard & Poor's no longer considers the country's debt securities as investment grade. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. California suffers under a historic drought. There is a severe lack of rain. There has been very little rainfall for the past 4 years. California is famous for its huge sequoia trees. They are among the largest and oldest living things on Earth. But scientists say the trees are having difficulty because of the lack of water. Now, the National Park Service is studying how the drought has affected the sequoias and what can be done to help them survive. The Sierra Nevada mountain range is the only place on Earth where sequoias live. Sequoias can grow to more than 90 meters tall. The bottom of the tree can be up to 15 meters wide. Some trees are more than 3,000 years old. The Sierra Nevada range once had plenty of water because of mountain streams. But less water is available now because of the drought. Each sequoia needs more than 3,000 liters of water a day. The trees now are getting much less. Some of them are showing signs of thirst, says Anthony Ambrose, a tree biologist with the University of California, Berkeley. He says they are seeing unusually high numbers of leaves dying, which they have not seen before in the park. Researchers are measuring air temperature and humidity levels. They also are studying sequoia seedlings and information from individual trees. One solution would be to cut down less important tree species. Scientists say that over thousands of years, sequoias have survived many disasters. And they say the sequoias will probably survive this drought too. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. A group of 50 Cambodian school children are trying an experimental education program. The program has two goals. One is to develop young people who can improve the country. The other is to develop a model program for other countries. In 2012, the Liger Learning Center staff met with hundreds of children across Cambodia. The staff sought the most promising students. It chose 25 boys and 25 girls. The Liger Learning Center paid for all of the students' education and living costs. Cambodia has a weak public education system. Children of low-earning families have little chance of receiving a quality education. Most of Liger's 50 students are from such families. Next year, the program wants to add 50 more students. Over time, Liger wants to change education for the whole country. U.S. businessman Trevor Guile started the school with his wife. He said the goal of the school is to help people help themselves instead of just giving them money. That means that those who attend the school have to give something back. Mr. Guile's wealth means that Liger is ahead of other Cambodian schools. For example, each Liger student has a laptop. The school also uses modern teaching methods. Students often take class trips and do group projects. Mr. Guile says he is sure Liger will show the results it promises. Then, he says, other individuals and organizations will want to expand the idea. Trevor Guile expects that by 2025, there will be at least 10 Liger schools in the region and beyond. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Prime Minister Hun Sen of the Cambodian People's Party joined the online social media site Facebook 3 months ago. Recently, he announced he had 3 million likes on his Facebook page. Now, Cambodia's ruling party spokesman has dismissed a report that the Prime Minister unfairly increased his number of Facebook likes. Hun Sen appears to have overtaken opposition leader Sam Rang-si's 2.2 million likes. Rang-si, head of the Cambodian National Rescue Party, has been on Facebook for at least 5 years. A report released by the Phnom Penh Post newspaper said that only about 20% of Hun Sen's likes were Cambodia-based users. Many of the likes came from people outside the country. The report raised the question that the Prime Minister might have been buying his support on the site. Nye Mose is head of the Internet Technology Department at an online rights advocacy group. He explains that Facebook users can pay money to advertise their Facebook page, a method known as boosting. Chuk Sopiap is executive director of the Cambodian Center for Human Rights. She says that a politician's popularity should not be judged by social media activity, but by their work as public officials. Hun Sen has been in power for more than 30 years. Political observers say Hun Sen is hoping that he can use Facebook to gain popularity. Important local and national elections will be held in Cambodia in 2017 and 2018. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. The Cameroonian government says that terrorism threatens large numbers of school children there. 2 bomb attacks killed 9 people last month in the town of Kolofata, near the border with Nigeria. At the same time, millions of children returned to school after a 3-month holiday. Cameroon has been working to make its schools safer. One of the most dangerous areas is along the border with Nigeria. Many families want to leave these areas. 16-year-old Amadou Moussi was not able to return to school on time because of the threat of suicide bombings. His school is in the town of Mora. Valentine Tame is president of the Teachers Association of Cameroon. He says many teachers are refusing to teach in areas along the border with Nigeria. He says he has told teachers to continue to work, even in the border area. But he says they are also telling the government that it has a moral duty to take care of those teachers. A police spokesperson says he has talked with students, teachers, and parents about keeping young school children safe. He says if the population works with officials, terrorists will find it more difficult to carry out acts. Douala is the economic capital of Cameroon. There, school staff members search students and their bags with metal detectors before they enter the school. Last year, Cameroon closed 70 schools on its border with Nigeria. More than 100,000 students were relocated to new schools. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. Why is it that when dogs drink, water seems to go everywhere? But when cats drink, the water is usually contained. Researchers at Virginia Tech University in Blacksburg, Virginia, have been studying why this happens. They say the mouths of cats and dogs are structured almost the same way. They found that cats and dogs do not have a full set of cheeks. This means they cannot create the force needed to drink, like humans, or elephants, or horses. But here is a surprise. The studies show that each family of animals has its own special drinking method. Sunny Jeong is the study's author and an associate professor of biomedical engineering and mechanics at Virginia Tech University. He says before they did basic studies of how cats and dogs drink, their guess was that it was about the same way. Instead, they found that cats and dogs are quite different when it comes to drinking water. Dogs must quickly move their tongues down into the water to build speed. They curl their tongues backwards and bring the water up and into their mouths. Cats do not bend their tongues. They use less speed and a more gentle action. They just skim or barely touch the surface of the water to drink it. Sean Gart is a researcher and Virginia Tech graduate student. He says cats are viewed as neat and dogs as messy while drinking. But that is because dogs have to move their tongues fast in the water. This makes good use of the way the water motion works. The research findings were published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Many people are concerned about signs of weakness in the Chinese economy. They want to know how these changes will affect economic activity in the rest of the world. Falling stock prices have shown that investors are very concerned. Many believe a weak Chinese economy will affect other markets. Recently, China's official manufacturing index fell to its lowest level in 3 years. Leading measures of stock values dropped in East Asia, Europe, and the United States. International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde spoke in Indonesia. She said rapid changes in stock market prices show concerns that economic uncertainty could spread. She said Asia is very much at the core or center of the global economy, and problems in one Asian market can affect the rest of the world. Asia is not the only area that could be affected. Experts note that China's problems could hurt manufacturing in Germany, Europe's biggest economy. They say that Chinese reform efforts have been uneven and present different problems for China's trading partners. Scott Kennedy is with the Centers for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. He says China's economy is becoming one where services and individual consumption are more important. He says China's economic slowdown is affecting two groups of countries. The first group provides raw, unprocessed materials to China. The other group includes countries that are trade competitors of China. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. China is looking to stop low-cost vacation tours that force tourists into costly stores. The tourists buy the tours at reduced prices, but then they are expected to make costly purchases at stores while on the trip. The stores then give money back to the travel company that sold the low-cost trip. Sometimes these agreements lead to conflict between tour guides and tourists. China's National Tourism Administration says it is looking at possible fines for tourists that buy the discounted trips. In the past, China has fined the travel companies that offer the trips. But that action did not reduce the number of tourists tricked into going to expensive shops. The Chinese tourism officials say they hope that fining tourists will stop this kind of discounted travel. The new plan follows the recent death of a 54-year-old tourist in Hong Kong. Chinese officials said the man from mainland China was beaten near a jewelry store last week. He reportedly died of a heart attack he suffered during the beating. The reports also said the tourist was trying to stop a fight between tourists and tour guides. The guides reportedly were angered when the tourist refused to make purchases at the jewelry store. In many countries, including the United States, tour buses commonly stop at souvenir shops and gift stores. These shops mainly market to visitors. The goods for sale are often overpriced and of poor quality. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.